Hello, it's your friend Phil, Project Management Trainer and Coach. We're going to take a look at the infamous page 61 in the 5th edition, and we're going to transition that to page 25 in the 6th edition. Now, all the information you're seeing is as a result of our friends at the PMI. And these are the trademarks. They own this stuff. So don't even try to copy it, or I will report you to the PMI. All right, let's get into it. We're going to take a look at that table. That table, you know the table, page 61 in the 5th edition. We're going to see how long it will take us to change page 61 in the 5th edition to page 25 in the 6th edition. So let's start off going down the different process groups. And before that, let's take a look at the column all the way to the left. So the knowledge areas, the major changes, let's change time management to schedule management. And let's change HR to resource management. All right, so if you're trying to make that transition, that jump from the 5th to the 6th for one reason or another, these are things that you need to take note of. All right, so I changed schedule, I changed time to schedule, I changed human resource to resource. Initiating, I'm leaving as is. Planning, going down, that is the same, that is the same, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same. But when we get here to estimate activity resources, we're going to take this out, and we're going to move that down to planning in resources. This is going to become plan resource management instead of plan human resource management, and we're going to fit estimate activity resources right there. All right. Plan communication stays the same. All of this stays the same. That stays the same. This becomes engagement. So plan stakeholder management becomes plan stakeholder engagement. And that is that for planning. All right. So moving on to the executing process group. Going down. Right off the bat, we've got a change. Direct and manage project work is not the only process in the executing process group within integration. We have manage project knowledge. Manage project knowledge. All right. What else have we got? We have perform quality assurance, changing to manage quality. So no more perform quality assurance. It's now manage quality, even though it's predominantly the same thing. It's just to help the naming convention. But anyway, that's a different story. All right, so instead of acquire project team here, we're going to call this acquire resources. We're talking about the humans, equipment, materials, supplies, and in some cases facilities. All right, this is going to become develop team. We're going to get rid of the word project there. Same there. Manage communication stays the same. Conduct procurement has not been changed to manage procurements, thank goodness. We've got manage stakeholder engagement as is. Go into monitoring and controlling, that's the same. Monitor and control project work is the same. Perform integrated change control, validate scope control schedule, control cost, control quality, all the same. Control communications is changing. We are going to use the word monitor. But before I do that, I should actually change this blank space. It's been blank for the past 12 or more years, maybe even 15 years. But now it's going to be filled with the word control resources. All right, so that's that. So you got control resources, and we're not talking about the humans. This is the physical resources. So that's a big change to anyone used to doing that brain dump. That is a very big change in the 6th edition, control resources. And we're talking about material, supplies, facilities, equipment, that kind of thing. Not the humans. We don't want to control the humans, all right? Control communications is changing. So we've got the word monitor. We see the word monitor is very prevalent in this edition because the whole mindset is when it comes to things concerning people, there is only so much you can control. So that's going to be called monitor communications. Also, with regards to risk, that is also going to change. So we're going to change control risks to the word monitor. All right. If you could control risks, there would be a magic button for you to make everything conform to how you wanted it. Control procurement stays the same. Now, control stakeholder engagement, because we are dealing with humans, this changes to the word monitor. All right. And going into closing, close project or phase is now the boss in the closing process group. We're going to get rid of close procurements. That has been folded into control procurements. And of course, this is now not page 61 any longer. It's page 25 in the 6th edition. So I hope that helped you when you're doing your brain dump. Just remember that you need to change all of those little bitty pieces. So let's have a final run through of our processes one by one. We got develop project charter, identify stakeholders. That's what you do in initiating. Authorize the project, identify your stakeholders. And then you begin developing the project management plan in a skeletal form, and then you begin adding more substance to it. So you plan scope management, collect requirements, define scope, create that work breakdown structure, and then you go into schedule management and you begin to break the work down even further into activities. So we've got defined activities, then we sequence the activities, then we estimate how long each activity will take, and then we put the schedule together. And then we begin to address cost because we've got an idea of the sequence, we've got an idea of what we're doing, but there's a lot of back and forth anyway, but you get the picture. Plan cost management, then we estimate cost and determine budget. We plan the quality. That probably should have been done in parallel somewhere. The plan quality is listed next. We get an idea of the different quality standards to adhere to. And then we plan resource management. How are we going to estimate our resources? How are we going to acquire them, develop them, manage them, control them? And then we go into estimating the activity resources. And then we plan communications management, plan risk management. Then we begin to identify the risks as planned. A lot of folks say, but plan risk management has all of these tools, the probability and impact matrix and probability and impact rating sheets and all sorts of things. And I say, it's just planning. You're not using the sheets, but you do need to come out with a format. So if you got stuck on plan risk management, wondering why you've got all this P times I matrices and RBS and all that stuff, it's because you need to plan what you're going to use, what the format is, what it'll look like, so on and so forth. Anyway, then you identify the risks in the cause risk effect format. You then categorize the risks, score them, Go to the next step, perform quantitative risk analysis, find the aggregate effect of the risks on the project, and then you plan responses for the risks. Aha! I just caught one, you see? That's why it's good to go through this stuff. I actually did not add the new process. How could I forget that new one? Creature of habit. I need to change that habit. So we've got implement, risk, response. Implement risk responses, folks. You see, this is how you find your knowledge gaps. So I found that I've got a gap right there. I need to reconfigure my 5th edition mind to my 6th edition mind, folks. That's why you got to check your work. All right. So that's plan risk responses. And I remembered, hey, wait a minute. So there's implement risk responses. All right. Moving down, we've got plan procurement management and plan stakeholder engagement. Going into executing, we've got direct and manage project work. We've got manage project knowledge, the new one. This is where you focus on how to transfer and use all that great knowledge you've acquired. Then we've got manage quality, acquire resources, develop team, all that Herzberg's, McGregor's, vroom, all that stuff. Manage team, manage communications, implement risk responses, conduct procurements, manage stakeholder engagement, control, monitor and control project work, perform integrated change control, validate scope. Your customer is going to check those deliverables, control scope. You will prevent gold plating, control schedule, control cost, control quality, control resources, monitor communications, monitor risks, control procurements, monitor stakeholder engagement, and close the project or a phase in the project. Don't close down the project, close down a phase first. And if that is all complete, closing out those phases, of course, you must have at the same time been closing out some procurements, and that's the end. So I hope that helped you if you are taking the exam based on the 6th edition. This is no longer in chapter 3. It is now in chapter 1. It comes up front. And I really like that, you know. All along the years, I've wondered, why don't they just let people know what's coming down the pike? Why don't they just let people know? Well, it's like they caught the vision. And when it comes to tailoring this stuff, I'm really excited that PMI talk about tailoring up front, because a lot of people, they think you have to take this and use it in a cookie cutter fashion, and they go off on the deep end. That's not how it's meant to be, folks. You got to tailor this stuff. You got to use some sense, you know. The 80-20 rule applies. You know, when I teach this stuff to companies, not for the PMP exam, but just to apply parts of the Pmbok guide for the everyday work, I tell them, don't go off on the deep end with this stuff. Don't create unnecessary paperwork. Don't kill people with paper. Take 20% that means the most to you. The 20% that means the most to your specific project. Take that, use it. That 20%, if used the right way, will give you an 80% return, whatever that looks like. The summary is that 20% of these processes could radically affect your project in a great way. Could take your project from where it is now to where you would love it to be. For some people, it's the developing of the team. A lot of firms, they don't train their people, they don't develop their people, they don't coach their people, they just leave them on the bench, or they train them 2 years ago or last year and they think that's still relevant to this year. They're making a mistake. You need to keep that lifeblood going, folks. It's all about the development of the team. The development. Those team building events. Training. Fun training. Not training that bores you out of your mind. That's why I say to anyone looking for PMP, project management training, if you have not engaged me, your friend Phil, if you have not engaged your buddy Phil, if you're not attending one of my classes online or in person, you're doing wrong. You got to correct that. All right? And if you're not helping me train other PMs, think about it. If you got people in your firm that need training, hey, let's partner together. Let's do this thing. So anyway, shoot me an email, info@praizion.com. If you want training, coaching, project management, team building, leadership training, communications training that will not bore your poor employees, why don't you shoot me an email? Be great to hear from you. Thank you for sticking to the end, and I'll speak to you in another video. Bye for now.